I was reborn on the very day I was set to marry the man my family had chosen for me. It was a grand affair, all eyes on my sister and me as we were both offered to two powerful heirs in the Grayson Empire. But as I sat there, the events of my past life came crashing back like waves in a storm. That was when I realized I could hear people's thoughts. I looked at my sister across the table and heard her voice in my head, "This time, I'll make sure Alara doesn't get the better husband." My sister Aurora wore a smile sweet enough to fool anyone. She leaned slightly, eyes fluttering as she turned her charm toward the quiet, composed man seated to her right, the one I had once married. In my previous life, I had chosen Damon Grayson, the polite and gentle younger son. I had believed his kindness was genuine, that his soft words and doting gifts were signs of love. But I was wrong. Damon was the serpent hiding in plain sight. He had manipulated me, isolated me, and ultimately betrayed me. He had fed lies to the family, turning them against me. And when his older brother, Cashin, the cold, ruthless heir of the Grayson family, died under mysterious circumstances, Damon inherited everything. And I had died soon after, pushed down the stairs by the very man I called my husband. Now, reborn and sitting once again at that fateful engagement dinner, I could hear not just my sister's scheming thoughts, but Damon's as well. Aurora might be easier to control than Alara, he mused, glancing subtly at her. Good. Let her fight for me. This time, I smiled. Across from us sat both Grayson brothers. Cashin, the older one, sat stiffly, dressed in an impeccable black suit. He was infamous in social circles, ruthless in business, emotionless in relationships. No one wanted to marry him. Rumor had it he once called off an engagement simply because the bride-to-be sneezed during dinner. Damon, in contrast, was warm, smiling. People loved him instantly. But I knew better. Aurora's eyes sparkled as she glanced at Damon. In her mind, she whispered, "This time, I'll win the gentle one. He'll treat me like a queen." Father looked between us. "Since Aurora has chosen Damon, Alara, you shall be engaged to Cashin." Aurora's lips curved in satisfaction, but her mind hissed, "Enjoy living in that ice palace, sister." I turned toward Cashin. His expression didn't change, but something in his posture shifted just slightly. Was it curiosity? Wariness? I couldn't tell. I stood gracefully and walked over to sit beside him. His presence was overwhelming, like standing too close to a bonfire that refused to share its warmth. Still, it was better than letting Damon get near me again. I tried to hear Cashin's thoughts. Silence. Absolute stillness. But Damon? The moment Aurora brushed her fingers along his arm, I heard him think, "What a shallow little thing. Easier to control, I suppose." I shuddered. Without hesitation, I slipped my hand into Cashin's. Surprisingly warm. He glanced down at me, his eyes unreadable. I released my grip quickly, unsure of what I was doing. But he didn't pull away. The engagement party ended with the same gossip and judgment that had surrounded us in my previous life. But this time, I was prepared. I knew the traps, the whispers, the betrayals to come. Our weddings were scheduled on the same day, just as before. In my past life, Damon had arrived early, charismatic as always. Cashin hadn't shown up at all. And history repeated itself. Damon walked in wearing a pristine cream suit, helping Aurora from the car, a soft smile on his face. Aurora beamed, turning toward me. "Alara," she said loudly, "where is Cashin? Didn't he come to fetch you?" I smiled serenely. "Cashin is handling a business acquisition overseas. He trusts me to handle myself." She blinked, caught off guard. In her mind, she should be crying. Why does she look so calm? I walked into the venue alone, head held high. At the altar, Damon kissed Aurora's hand. She glanced at me, triumphant. But I remembered how it had ended, with her screaming, locked in a bedroom, unable to prove her innocence after Damon framed her for infidelity. When my turn came, I simply bowed to Cashin's empty seat and addressed the crowd. My husband is a man of responsibility. He regrets not being here, but duty calls. I hope to earn your understanding as I represent us today. Whispers ceased. Even the matriarch of the Grayson family, Lady Agatha, gave me a subtle nod. Aurora scowled. In her mind, she spat, fake composure. You'll slip up soon. But I had no intention of slipping. At the tea ceremony, I moved carefully, gracefully, anticipating every trap Aurora would set. She nudged the rug beneath me just as I stepped forward, but I sidestepped neatly, letting her trip on her own scheme. Tea splashed across her dress. Oh. Damon rushed to help her. But his thoughts betrayed him. She's clumsy. Embarrassing. Lady Agatha's brows drew together. Aurora, mind your poise. This is a ceremony, not a playground. Aurora paled. I offered the tea gracefully. Mother, I said. Agatha took it with both hands, smiling faintly. Ilara, welcome. That night, while Aurora basked in false bliss, I waited in the Grayson estate, wondering if Cashin would even show. He arrived just past midnight, silent as ever. I stood. I prepared tea. The bed is yours, I'll take the couch. He stared. Why? I hesitated. We barely know each other. There's no reason to make this more awkward than it already is. He said nothing, simply removed his coat, set it aside, and walked toward the bathroom. The water ran for minutes. When he emerged, his hair damp, he paused at the sight of me laying a blanket on the couch. This marriage, I began, doesn't need to be romantic. I only hope we can live peacefully. I seek independence, not affection. He raised an eyebrow. A wife who doesn't ask for love? Not from someone unwilling to give it. He studied me for a long moment. Very well. But don't expect me to play along with social games. Nor should you expect me to act like a trophy. For the first time, a flicker of amusement crossed his face. Understood. From that day on, we lived like shadows under the same roof. But I began making moves in silence. I started investing small sums, using knowledge from my past life. I contacted designers, launched a fashion brand online. Quietly, under a pseudonym. And it worked. My brand grew fast. Orders poured in. Even Lady Agatha took notice when one of her acquaintances praised a gown at a charity gala, a gown from my line. Meanwhile, Aurora's glow began to fade. Damon, as always, grew colder after winning his prize. She tried to please him, surprise him, seduce him. Nothing worked. In her mind, I heard, why is he so distant? What does Ilara have that I don't? Everything, Aurora. I had foresight. Cashin remained emotionally distant, but observant. One evening, he found me sketching designs late in the study. You made this, he asked, holding up a sketch. I nodded. Impressive. I plan to make enough so I never rely on anyone again. He tilted his head. Even me? Especially you. He didn't smile, but there was a softness in his voice when he replied, good. I hate weakness. Our arrangement had become something more. And then, the first scandal broke. Damon was caught at a hotel with another woman. The pictures went viral. Aurora, humiliated, locked herself in her room. Damon's thoughts, as he stared at the screen, careless. She wasn't supposed to follow me. Lady Agatha summoned them. But her judgment was swift. Aurora, you've lost all dignity. Ilara has carried herself with grace since the day she entered this house. Perhaps you should take lessons from her. I stood quietly to the side, drinking in every moment. Cashin approached as they left, his hand brushing mine. "You're different than I expected," he said. "You're exactly what I expected," I replied. He glanced down, then smiled, just barely. The war wasn't over. But for the first time, I was winning. This time, I wouldn't just survive. I would thrive. And no one, not Damon, not Aurora, not even Cashin, would control my fate again.